Motivation, we kickstart the morning cafe show right here. It's always good to have you. Thank you for making us the fastest growing television. And as always, we stay true to the course. As we say, it is the home of untold stories. And right here, you get so much of your stories, those ones that have been told, those ones that have not been told before. And we get to understand our cultures. We get to understand the society better as well. We get to understand the political situation in the country. We are huge on politics this time around, looking forward to the general election. About 48 days to it. Time is moving very fast, and we keep asking ourselves just how well do we understand the kind of crop of leadership that we want on board. And so we'll be looking at all this as we take a look at the talks of campaigns where these political leaders, and more so those ones that are presidential candidates, have pitched a tent to sell their agenda, to sell their manifestos, to convince and coerce these voters to go out there and vote them come the August of 9. There's so much that is lined up for you, including the fact that the government has officially declared that COVID-19 numbers are surging, and therefore there is need that when you get to these public spaces, it is mandatory that you have your masks on. As we take a look at the ramifications that come along with the fact that the fuel prices have shot up, the high cost of living, the household commodities prices shooting fast as well. And so we continue to discuss all this right here as we welcome you to be part and parcel of it. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KA, and we get to sample some of the comments that you'll have dropped us this morning. We have the People Daily, we have the Standard newspaper, as well as the Daily Nation. As we take a look at these papers that have been captured right here, there's so much that is lined up for you. And so we'll be looking at all this in regards to what the papers detail or what they speak of this morning. Thank you so much for always keeping it TV47. And yes, my name is Linda Lela. We begin right away by looking at the papers. And this is the People Daily this morning, the 21st day of June 2022. Uhuru calls talks over DRC conflicts. It is getting noisy, it is getting messy at the DRC, and therefore there is that need for that peaceful coexistence. And the East African community has come together towards keeping their brains, or putting their brains together, getting to know how well can they help in the situation of DRC Congo. Regional leaders converge in Nairobi as they race to end violence in eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they task a regional force to work with DRC military in quest to restore peace and stability. And we'll be getting to have details of this as we continue, as we cross fingers as well that it will be peaceful at the DRC Congo. The pictures that come from there are quite, unfortunate, are pictures that are really, heartbreaking, or so to speak. And therefore this infighting really needs to be addressed at the East African community level, and so much more. Rally aces all set to raise dust in Naivasha, and we have seen that this will be commissioned, and we get to see the World Rally takes shape right here in the country, as we were celebrated at that very moment when we had the same after a very long period of COVID-19. And we hope that this time around the thrill will be as much. Battle for 22 million voter begins. Well, State House race, IEBC has cleared up a register, but 3 officers face probe over illegal transfer. This has captured on page 4 of the People Daily. We're talking about the numbers that have been given up here, and we have millions, as well as what played out in 2017 in comparison to what it is that we have here. So we'll be looking at these numbers to unpack them later on the broadcast, and we get to understand just how well then these individuals would be able to woo these voters to go out there and support them. And speaking of the numbers, we have the Daily Nation that speaks of the pain of the points and the different regions that the 2 front runners have been focusing on in their campaign trail. And the front page of the Daily Nation speaks of a Nation Newsplex analysis that reveals where William Ruto Ruto and Raila Odinga have pitched camp in the last about 6 months as vote hunt is on in the State House race enters the home stretch, and Rift Valley. Raila is fighting to protect the Maa vote in Kajiado as well as Narok counties that have previously accorded him massive support. With the Kalenjin Nation vote all but secured, Ruto has focused his energies on making sure that he's wresting a piece of the Maa vote pie, that is from the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We're talking about the Western region. They have hugely traversed these different parts to see to it that they have garnered something. It has been looked at as a home turf of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, but now the coming in of the earthquake that took Musalia Mudavadi of ANC as well as Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya to the Kenya Kwanza side got him thinking that, well, it would be necessary for him to try and woo these voters here so that he can still enjoy the chunk. And on the central region, claims have been that Deputy President William Ruto has for the longest time traversed this particular voterage region in quest for votes, early campaigns, so to speak, and true to it, he had made lots of gains that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga seeks to undo, getting these blessings from the mountain for the very first time in all his political, lifeline, or better yet, his bid. And so we look at just how these gentlemen have successfully managed, first of all, to maintain those ones that you would call their strongholds, as well as sweep those ones that are swing votes, but most importantly, try and win these ones that are there and are likely to give them great numbers. Bail us out, Magoha asks private schools over junior high, and the government has turned to the private sector to avert crisis in already over-enrolled public secondary schools during next year's double intake. And we're saying double because also of the aspect of the COVID-19 calendar, adjustments, and most importantly on these differences that are coming on board, courtesy of the competency-based curriculum at its pilot program or inception stages has posed lots of challenges in the education sector. So those are the key stories that have been captured on the front page of the Daily Nation. And so senators as well vote on a 10 trillion debt ceiling plan. That is today. The current 9 trillion ceiling was enacted in November 2019, and the House, that is the National Assembly, voted to increase the same to 10 trillion. Last week we saw the senators sitting on the same, and they lacked quorum as well in terms of making sure that they either sell this or flop it, and therefore will keenly be following up to see what plays out. Remember, they are supposed to close in totality Sunday, and we'll be looking to see just what they will do in terms of making sure that they're able to get Kenyans off this hook of the numerous debts that we have incurred locally as well as internationally. Increasing debt cap will be good news to Treasury that seeks to bridge the 846 billion gap that exists. And so those are the key stories of the Daily Nation. The Standard newspaper this morning, and we have EAC presidents approve sending soldiers to DRC as captured on page 5 as the talks are ongoing on how best we can quell the troubles that sit or the lies therein. Hard tackles in Ruto's constituency, a story captured on page 21, as we have seen the infightings that exist between them. The mountain a little bit, or most of the leaders that hail from the mountain, in this talk of six-piece tire that most of the Kenya Kwanza leaders and most of the UDA are calling upon voters to vote for the UDA six-piece tire that is getting the others thinking it is not a fair move, knowing very well that they exist therein. That is at the Kenya Kwanza's beat, and most importantly, they also deserve the votes. And we'll also be looking at what has been captured on the front page. But before then, the biggest story, but before then, back to masks as COVID-19 cases increase. Health Ministry says the measures are geared up towards preventing hospitalization and as well deaths like those experienced in 2020 and 2021, as captured on page 3 on that very address by the CS for Matters Health. And as we can see, So much will be made in terms of these adjustments, and we all hope that we can stay careful. A myth of youth vote and masked demographics. Political parties have raised massive resources to woo the youth, that is to go out there and vote on for them on the August 9th poll. But IEBC records show majority of voters are above 35 years, and this could force a change of strategy. For the longest of time, we've known that the youths enjoy the largest tank of votes, but then from the register that has been cleared and presented to the people by the IEBC, it could be speaking contrary, and therefore there would be there will be a need for the very last minute change of tact for those ones that have really tried hugely to woo the youthful voters. Those are the key stories this morning captured on the papers, and we'll be looking at them as we continue. So away from it, I think it's now time that we take a look at some of the stories that have been prepared by my team. But even before then, technically what is happening on the roads is also very, very important that we get to understand. And as we get to understand, how best we can maneuver the cities or the city or the roads of Nairobi, just so we are not caught in traffic. Sneak preview tells you that there's not much of alarm on the roads this morning, apart from these bits of Pangani area, which is always notorious. But as it is not as ugly as it has always been. And this side of Juja Road, along Juja Road, you would find some tenets of traffic, as you can see right there. It doesn't look all bad this morning, as well as down. That is from around Pangani area down to Githurai and coming back up to Garden City. That is Thika Road. Thika Road around the Thika Road Mall and down to the Garden City and all the way down to Utali, Muthaiga to Pangani, as well to the city. Not looking bad this morning. On the other side, we have this other bit that is from the area of Allsops and connecting to the outer ring road. That doesn't look so bad this morning. It's clean up to these areas of Manyanja and connecting to this other side. I can tell that there's some tenets of traffic on Jogoo Road, a bit of traffic on Jogoo Road that you can clearly tell that would get you delayed. And so if you can get an alternative route from Jogoo Road, it would be helpful for you this morning. I think it's the only road that is a bit notorious this morning, and so it would be necessary for you to make these adjustments. Mombasa Road as well will always have some tenets of traffic, and especially around these areas of Imara Daima. And as you can see, it is not different this morning. So tenets of traffic that would get you delayed a bit, but it is not so ugly. On the other side, the airport road, also down from the Allsops and connecting to the Eastern Bypass, it has some tenets of traffic around here that is not so bad anyway. But then again, also looking at the Eastern Bypass, most of the times you'll find traffic on the Eastern Bypass, and such is the case this morning, but it is not quite alarming, as you can clearly tell. And on this other side, let's see what the Southern Bypass looks like. The Southern Bypass in most cases is clean, and I would want to assume that such is the case this morning as well. Really no cause for alarm. That is on the Southern Bypass, and as you can see, this is it. The Southern Bypass is all clean, connecting to these areas of Langata Road. Langata Road around the Langata Barracks is all clean as well this morning, connecting to Dingong Roads, as well as let's get to this side where you find the Nyayo Stadium from Langata Road. A bit of traffic there, but it's not looking so bad. Around the Bunyala Road, it's all clean this morning. These areas of Jogoo Road. Jogoo Road is bad this morning. We might need to probably ask you in case of anything that is happening there. Please keep us, on the loop so we get to understand what informs this terrible kind of traffic along the Jogoo Road, Langata Road, and connecting to Mbagathi Way as well is not bad this morning. These areas of Strathmore and the Ngong Road is not looking bad this morning. As you can see around the Coptic area and the roundabout on Ngong Road, a bit of traffic or a snarl up there, but it does not look so bad as you would expect for it to be. And this other side, let's see whether there's anything else that we'd want to see. The ABC place is all clean. That tells you as well. The James Kishore Road is not bad, and going all the way down to Lavington area and connecting to the likes of Gitanga Road, not looking so bad this morning. We also have this bit of the sides of Wayaki Way that is not so bad this morning. And I guess the Red Hill is clean, Limuru Road is clean, areas around the village market, if you're taking that direction, really no cause for alarm on the roads this morning. And so we shelve what is happening on the roads for a moment, and I think it's now time that we take a look at some of these stories that are making headlines. And so we'll be looking at all these stories that have been prepared by my team. Let's see whether we can get some of them as captured right here. Okay, just give us a bit of time to get this. All right, we might need to fix this for a moment. We take a quick short break and then we come back with the news.
The home of untold stories.
This is The Grind. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks.
Making sure that 40,000 polling stations are set, and as Joash Onsare now reports, the 3 IEBC officials are being probed for abnormal transfer of voters, as I had mentioned earlier on.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission have received the audited voters register from the KPMG. In the audited register, in preparation for the August 2022 polls, contains a total of 22,120,458 voters, which represents 50.88% male and 49.12% female.
As the Commission briefs the country today, it's equally pleased to announce that the total number of registered voters is 22,120,458. There's also been a noticeable increase among prisoners and diaspora. In prisons, 2017 we had 5,182 registered voters. In 2022, 7,483. And diaspora 2017, 4,223. In 2022, 10,444.
In the audited register, IEBC has reported that 246,265 deceased voters were expunged from the register. The August general election will be conducted in 46,232 polling stations.
In 2017, we had 40,883 polling stations. And for 2022, we shall have 46,232 polling stations. This gives a growth rate of 13.08%.
The audit revealed that 4,757 voters were registered more than once. IEBC affirming that abnormalities in voter transfers were reversed and the suspects will be apprehended upon the completion of the investigations this week.
KPMG reviewed controls over the database and infrastructure control and made recommendations on strengthening controls over application, database, and infrastructure to ensure security of the register of voters. The Commission has already commenced implementation of KPMG recommendations with the third parties providing the Commission with IT support.
The Commission insisting that it has enough backup in case the KIMS kit fail.
The design of the KIMS kit is that it will use SD card, which is going to have information regarding the voters for that specific polling station. So the way we have organized is that we'll have backups KIMS kit in each and every ward. We'll have more than 4 backup kits.
The Commission further says it has invested all its efforts to address majority of pre-election day issues identified from the audit and at the same time implementing the election operations plan.
KPMG audit has identified a number of issues that can enhance accuracy and credibility in the register of voters. The audit has also recommended that IEBC gives priority to implementing a medium-term transformational program to ensure that it has systems, capacity, and structure that will enable its role in anticipation of a fresh registration process before the 2027 general election.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
And Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja was on Monday afternoon grilled by DCI officials after he presented himself. Sakaja had been summoned at the DCI headquarters in the ongoing investigations over his Ugandan degree. Sakaja, however, says he presented everything that he had been demanded or had been asked for, waiting for the investigations to be completed. Sakaja was cleared by the IEBC on Sunday after the Wafula Chebukati-led commission dismissed the petition. DCI is, however, investigating claims of forgery as mentioned right there.
And of course we abided by those summons. We are cooperating with them. They asked us questions, we asked them also questions. And after asking them questions, they say they're going to respond to us. So that is what we are waiting for. The DCI had made prejudicial comments that were in one of the dailies. So it seems that you've already done your investigation and you've formed your mind and you've taken a part in this, and that as opposed to what the directorate must be, which is unbiased, non-political, non-partisan, already you've taken a position that is partisan, that is biased, that is even political, when he says that we cannot allow certain people to take leadership of the capital. So I've said all of this has been political. And so we've asked them to respond to that, and then we continue engaging. But we're cooperating with everything that would be required from us, from this side. It's also interesting that we've noted By the time we got in, one Mr. Gashomo had been engaged in a very deep conversation with an associate, a close associate to one of our opponents. We found them there together. I don't think he was expecting us. And we've noted that in our statement, which alludes also to the bias that we've been talking about.
Meanwhile, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga intensified his vote hunt in Kajiado County Monday ahead of the August 9th polls, and Raila urging residents to rally behind him as he seeks to be elected Kenya's 5th president. Mike Agungu with that.
With 49 days remaining to the August 9th polls, Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua say they will leave no stone unturned in seeking for votes from Kenyans across the country. Monday afternoon, the two alongside their allies pitched the Azimio la Umoja tents in Rongai and Kiserian in Kajiado County before arriving in Ngong to an overwhelming reception. Odinga said they are out on a mission for an economic turnaround so as to improve the lives of Kenyans.
Ya kulimo, kupande ya mbegu, kupande ya mbolea na kupande ya soko. Soko sawa sawa. Alafu tutajenga viwanda. Kila county, one county, one product. One county, tutazidisha pesa ambayo inatoka Nairobi kuja mashinani. Tutapanda kutoka 15 kwa 100 hadi 35 kwa 100 pesa kuja mashinani.
He urged members of the Maa community to maintain peace during this electioneering period, promising solutions to challenges that affect development in Kajiado if elected to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Barabara hii ambayo inatoka Nairobi kupitia Ngorongai, kupitia hapa Kiserian mpaka kona baridi itakuwa dual carriageway. Sasa sisi tunasema tunataka kuimarisha hali ya maisha ya Wakenya wote. Kwa upande matibabu, vituo vya matibabu ziko mbali na hakuna dawa ndani yake. Tunaleta dawa na daktari na manases.
Ikiwa wapinzani wetu wamekuja kuahidi mabilioni hapa na pale bila kusimama na kuapa kupambana na ufisadi, ujue hiyo ni ahadi ya mdomo peke yake. Mimi nimesimama nyuma ya baba sababu na muamini anataka kuinua hali ya maisha ya kila Mkenya na kwa serikali yake.
Odinga promised free primary education from primary to tertiary level if elected as part of his manifesto.
Kuanzia mwaka ujao, kila mtoto ambaye amezaliwa katika taifa letu, hata kama wazazi hawana pesa, atakuwa na fursa sawa kuanzia nursery, primary, secondary, tertiary mpaka chuo kikuu. Hakuna karo tena.
Na naona leo mekuja kukata kauli kusema rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ni Raila Amolo Odinga.
Ukiangalia wewe pamoja na mama, mna historia ndefu Kenya hii ya watu ambao wamesimama na kupigania haki. Ile pande ingine imejaa mikora. Ukiangalia list kuanzia juu mpaka chini unafikiria ni ripoti ya chief.
Huyu Daktari Ngedienya na Manje hapa tunakuja tunasema baba aende State House.
With Raila maintaining that the digital generation cannot ride a wheelbarrow, he continued to lay a basket full of promises to Kenyans ahead of August 9th general elections. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Ngong Stadium in Ngong, Kajiado County.
And Deputy President William Ruto has said the Kenya Kwanza administration will work closely with players in the manufacturing sector to create jobs. Ruto spoke when he met players in the manufacturing sector before heading to Nakuru. Chichi Josephine with that.
The Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate held a private meeting with Njoro sub-county leaders and residents discussing matters peace ahead of the general election.
Wale wanawauzia uoga hapa Nakuru ni kwa sababu hawana sera, hawana mpango.
During the meeting, DP Ruto said the Kenya Kwanza is firm on communities and leaders actively accepting and embracing diversity. He promised to build a cohesive, peaceful and a better Kenya for everyone.
Rift Valley sasa ni bonde la amani. Watu wote wanaoishi katika hii Rift Valley, sisi tumesoma vizuri matatizo ya siasa ya ukabila na chuki, na hatuwezi kurudi mahali pale tena. Tunapiga hatua kwenda mbele kujenga Rift Valley ambayo ni ya Wakenya wote kujivunia kuwa wakazi wa bonde hili la amani.
DP Ruto spoke at his current residence where he hosted the Kenya Association of Manufacturers KAM for a consultative meeting. The Deputy President said the Kenya Kwanza administration will create an enabling environment for the manufacturing sector to realize its full potential and build the sector's capacity for innovation, guarantee access to affordable credit.
And our focus is in the area of SMEs. Our thinking, and we have worked with numbers with Professor Ndi and his team, is that if we worked with these people and we simply made them access credit at 14% like all of us, we could easily grow their incomes between 500 and 700 shillings a day.
DP Ruto says the Kenya Kwanza is committed to harnessing the potential of the manufacturing sector. Ruto says his government is ready to build the sector's capacity for innovation, guarantee access to affordable credit, and invest in whatever it takes to create growth and momentum in the crucial sector.
We only have the chance to reduce your taxes if we have more people paying. You don't have a chance of us, say, reducing VAT from 16% to 14%, for example. We will only have that chance if we have a bigger pool of people contributing.
And when you talk about taxation, when you talk about regulations, when you talk about starting a company, investment, everything, there's a huge lot of bureaucracy. And as Kenya Kwanza, we are committed in cutting the fat and cutting the bureaucracy. Make it simple for you. As I used to say, our job is not to frustrate business, but to facilitate business.
He says the manufacturing sector is one of our strongest paths to sustained economic growth.
We are looking at an economy that is production-led.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Now to some bit of education, and the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, has urged parents with learners in primary schools that have built competency-based curriculum classrooms to consider retaining their children in the schools as they join junior secondary schools. Magoha says the plan would avoid scrambling for secondary schools like witnessed after KCPE exams, as Sharon Baranga reports.
More than 1.2 million learners in grade 6 will be joining junior secondary school next year. The government is in the process of finalizing measures to ensure the transition to junior secondary schools is smooth. A bulk of classes that are being constructed under the competency-based curriculum are complete. Private schools have been given a target of 5,000 classrooms.
Going forward, the government of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has now almost completed the first lots. We have a few spots like in Bungoma where I'm going to be most of this week to ensure that we complete, and one or two other counties in the Rift Valley. Everybody else has completed. So we have 0.5% of the classrooms, but there's no 0.5% of a child. We want to be sure that all classrooms are built.
CS Magoha has urged parents with learners in primary schools that have built competency-based curriculum classrooms to consider retaining their children in the schools as they join junior secondary schools.
I would like to encourage the other private schools, and for the purposes of junior secondary school, it would be very important for the parents who already have their children in private schools to retain them in junior secondary schools that are established within those schools, so that the cutthroat competition that comes after Standard 8 be postponed to year 9.
The pupils will be guided on how to select the secondary schools they hope to join in January.
The only thing that is left for us to come public with is precisely how the children are going to select where they are going to go. And we are almost completing that because, first of all, the children will apply and we shall have told them the number of schools that are available. I'm encouraging the private schools, which we shall have said are ready for junior high school, also to allow the children to apply in a public platform so that they are placed through that platform.
The education boss took a jab at politicians having a hard time proving they graduated from universities.
It is just very shameful that we are spending so much energy in the courts or the people who are supposed to be doing election. It is a very simple matter. You have either done a degree and graduated or you have not. A judge cannot give you a degree. That's what I used to say, that it doesn't matter whether a judge pronounces himself, he cannot give you a degree.
Magoha was speaking from Moi Educational Center, where he had gone to officially launch newly constructed CBC classrooms. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Away from matters education, the Ministry of Health has emphasized on the need of wearing of face masks in confined spaces such as PSVs, aircrafts, offices, supermarkets, marketplaces, and even places of worship. Speaking to journalists, that is Monday, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe says even though the wearing of face masks remains optional, the rise in COVID-19 cases is worrying, with the possibility of getting far worse. Zainab Mohammed with that.
Kenyans have been advised to wear face masks in confined and public spaces such as PSVs, aircraft, supermarkets, offices, marketplaces, and even places of worship. Speaking to journalists on Monday, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe says even though the wearing of face masks remains optional, the rise in COVID-19 cases is worrying, with the possibility of getting far worse.
With regard to wearing of face masks, the mandatory wearing of face masks in open public spaces, where one is not in close proximity with another person, remains optional. However, one is required to wear a mask when in contact with other people in close confined spaces such as PSVs, aircrafts, offices, supermarkets, marketplaces, and places of worship.
According to Kagwe, a number of catalysts are fueling the increase in COVID-19 cases in the country, including the cold weather that is expected to go on for the next 3 months, a low uptick in COVID-19 vaccination, and an increase in influenza cases reported mainly in 3 out of 8 surveillance sites.
A number of challenges that are going to affect these numbers. The first one is that we are in a political season, where everybody is out there in the open, many gatherings continuously at all times. The second situation is, of course, the weather and the temperatures that we are experiencing during this influenza period. The third one that we are experiencing as a challenge is also the slow uptick of vaccination rates that we have, up from over 300,000 per day down to about 12,000 per day, and now likely dropping to about 5,000 per day.
County governments have also been advised to revamp their ICUs and scale up their oxygen supplies in readiness for a surge in hospitalization due to COVID-19 infections.
The ministry has adequate rapid antigen test kits for distribution to all counties. Counties are also urged to revamp their isolation facilities and secure adequate supplies of PPEs, and particularly prepare with oxygen supplies as part of preparedness to manage any surge of cases.
The weekly average positivity rate has been on the rise over the past couple of weeks, from a low of 0.6% last month to 10.74% this month. On Monday, the country recorded a total of 252 new COVID-19 cases, with the positivity rate now at 12.6%. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
And the Registrar of Political Parties, Andy Rutu, has strongly condemned riots experienced on Sunday at Jacaranda grounds during the Kenya Kwanza Alliance campaigns. Speaking during the official launch of the Peace Caravan, mentioned before, that is during and after the general election, Rutu said political parties have a responsibility to maintain peace in order to avoid violence similar to what was witnessed. And Rutu cited the use of the Kenya Kwisha and Kuzimia in political rallies as irrelevant, which may end up causing chaos during the electioneering period. National Cohesion and Integration Commission NCIC Chairperson Samuel Kobia warned the youth against being misused by politicians seeking leadership positions.
Condemn any intolerance, and we must maintain that. I do not think intolerance is sanctioned from the highest level, but at the highest level they must take responsibility by condemning intolerance and violence. It is not sanctioned by the parties, probably the individuals within political parties, but political parties must take responsibility in terms of condemning it and control of their supporters.
Therefore, we must work together, and that is the significance of what has happened today in launching this caravan. As NCIC, we have invited, first of all, the 4 presidential candidates on the 9th of July to come and sign what we have drafted as political decency and accountability charter.
Like what happened yesterday in Jacaranda, we are watching, and of course the 2 coalitions, they're the ones who are frontrunners when it comes to what is happening in the country. And as Chairman for NCIC has put it, for us as IBC, we are calling the 4 candidates on 11th and 12th of July, where they are coming to sign a peace pledge.
Senior land officials were Monday arraigned in a Mombasa court for allegedly aiding in grabbing land by private developers worth about 30 million in Diani. And according to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the accused acquired a public access road in Diani, Kwale County, valued at 30 million. And the trio were charged individually with abuse of office, willful neglect of their official duties, and aiding the commission of a felony. The accused, Wilson Gashanja, Zablon Mabea and Jabu Salim, denied the charges before Principal Magistrate Martin Rabera and released on 1 million shillings cash bail, each and surety of similarity amount. The trial is set to begin on the 4th of July 2022.
Afternoon, I'm here to give a brief on the development of the arrest of the former Commissioner of Land, Mr. Wilson Gachanja, and 2 other former senior officials with the Ministry of Land, that is Mr. Zablon Mabea and Mr. Jabu Mohammed. This is in relation to a plot that was grabbed some times back when these people were holding offices and where they collude in an illegal allocation of land to a private developer, which this land was actually meant for a road reserve. The officials, according to the investigations and the consent given by the DPP to charge them, are going to be charged for illegal aiding of grabbing of public land to a private developer in the name of Galerius Investment Limited, and the land is located in Diani Beach, that is Diani Beach Road, along Diani location in Msambweni County. The 3 will be charged for abuse of office, willful neglect of official duty, and aiding the commission of a felony. Actually, from this development, the 3 have been arrested. They were arrested in Nairobi, and they are being taken to Mombasa, and they will appear most likely this afternoon.
All right, and from that very story, it's now time that we get to the conversation of the day. The gentleman already said, one of them though, saying his apology won't be able to make it, but all the same, the show has to go on. And as we get to this conversation, we ask you to be part and parcel of it. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. It is all about politics as we prepare ourselves for the August 9th election. Very important that we have these conversations that revolve around understanding what then is the next crop of leadership presenting to us. And therefore, it's about their manifestos. It is that time of campaign. We unpack what it is that they have prepared for us. And on the actual day, then we go out there to vote on basis of the same. Sadly enough, as a country, as an ethno-majoritarian entity or country, better yet, we are always conformed in these angles of voting based on a tribe, based on a political, affiliation. But we say times have gone, and it is important that we make the necessary adjustments. These adjustments call for us to listen to the manifestos, the promises presented to us, and vote based on ideology. So joining us for this very conversation, and I would say right next to me, Mheshimiwa, how are you?
I'm fine.
You well?
Yeah,
Karibu sana, thank you so much for creating time. Mheshimiwa, right here is Martin Ndirango, Member of Parliament, candidate of Kajiado North. It's an honor to have you this morning for the very first time on Morning Cafe.
Yeah.
And as well as, Yusuf Noah Refiga, or commonly known as Refiga, Member of Parliament, candidate for Kibra. We seek to understand how different he's going to make Kibra. For the longest of time as a country, we've spoken about this. We've seen a lot of, changes in terms of the previous leadership, but we still believe that there's much that needs to be done there. And therefore, quite a hard task that you take. It's as good as Nairobi itself. Mheshimiwa, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Not Kibra aspirant, the incoming.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the incoming. All right. All the best. All the best. Actually, not an aspirant, it's a candidate. So all the best. You're certain that you're going to take this?
Yes.
What makes you think so?
Kibrans make me think so.
Yes. You've listened to the ground or the people.
I've listened to them, not the ground.
Yes,
them,
to
the people.
them.
Yes.
All right. Well, interesting. Interesting, so to speak. And the incumbent takes it from his brother, who apparently they say did so well. Do you suppose he's done contrary to what the brother did?
If you ask me, I had so much respect for the late Ken Okoth, and if he was alive, I would not be vying today.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the answers is as clear, as what it is that Refiga speaks of. So we get to the conversation this morning, and we hope to get a hold of John Mutudo, who is a senatorial candidate in Nakuru County. As he will be joining us virtually. Unfortunately, he would not be able to make it to Nairobi that first, but all the same, in a bit, we'll be looping him in. And gentlemen, let's briefly take a look at what the papers detail this morning. They form the basis of our conversation, and we get to understand, what the people, on your ground, that is Kibra and Kajiado, then would be doing or would be, thinking in terms of the kind of leadership that you present to them. We have the Standard newspaper, we have the Daily Nation, as well as the People Daily, more or less the same stories. And as we get to this, myth of youth, vote and must, this is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. If we're to speak about the youth first of all, and the rowdiness that we experienced in Jacaranda, lots of chaos, lots of jitters and worries. Is it cause for alarm? Is it a time that perhaps we probably rethink the strategy? Because after, for a while it's been calm, but then again, this tells us that there is an underlying factor that needs to be addressed. And therefore, Refiga, we start off from, Kibra, and generally just looking at the ground in terms of, how well we are willing to work together, how well we are determined to make sure that ours is a peaceful coexistence.
In Kibra, I can say there has not been any violence that has been reported of late.
Yeah.
And I can say there's tolerance in Kibra now.
Right.
And if you look at the politics of Kibra today, out of the 5 wards we have, there's an PDU candidate in Makina, the incumbent MCA. And then we have Jubilee in Woodley. And then the rest are ODM. The rest 3 are ODM. Before, it used to be all ODM. But right now, at least you can see
there's a shift.
There is a shift, and people are embracing that.
Yeah.
And I think this thing is countrywide right now. If you get to hear watu wanasema tunachagua viongozi, hatuchagui chama.
Right.
And I like that, because a lot of goons used to hide behind parties. Mimi ni chama fulani, so people go, they vote for the party.
Right.
And then after that, you regret for the next 5 years as you wait to be given kitu kidogo again, you vote again, and then you regret further. And it's just a cycle of vote and regret, vote and regret. If I talk about Kibra, where I'm coming from, there's a very big shift.
There's a big shift.
And we've been working with the youth and make sure at least the thinking is changing.
All right, let's talk about Kajiado briefly, and in terms of, you know, the youth and how they are having a shift of mind in terms of focusing on ideology. When they say sisi tunaangalia mtu, definitely it's about what this person is presenting to them. And you know, from the horse's mouth, it would be wise that you are telling the people, you know, under what parties you're running or whether it's independence, because independent candidates are really bringing a shift as well in the game. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda, for hosting us this morning. I'd like to again mention my name. My name is Martin Kememia Dirango, MP candidate Kajiado North, going with a Kenya ticket. Chama ya mama. Huko nyumbani wananiita kijana ya mama.
Okay.
And we are glad and we are happy that Mama was able to join us yesterday in our campaigns in a place called Ongata-Rongai, Kiserian, and Ngong. And Linda, I'd like to tell you that just to confirm what Refiga has said about the youth, and the majority of the voters now are talking about voting for leaders and not parties. In my area, we are on record to have been the most peaceful area. We have never had election violence in Kajiado North. And when I mention Kajiado, maybe Refiga might be thinking we are talking over 100 kilometers from Kibra.
No, it's pretty much, okay.
It's pretty much 20 bob on a matatu from Refiga's constituency to my constituency. From Rongai to Kibra is a 10 minutes drive. So we are not very different from Kibra, but our area is quite cosmopolitan. People usually think that Kajiado is a Maasai area, but it's largely a cosmopolitan area. And people live in harmony. We are all from all tribes, and this time round, people have shared the thoughts of electing tribes or parties, and people are very keen. If you listen to the rallies, the leaders, when they're talking to the rallies, the youth are very, very keen to hear what the leaders have to offer. Because I think time has come. We have gone through very hard times during the COVID time. As we imagine out of these times, people are very hopeful. And therefore, it's not like 2017 when people were just echoing, you know, like they were not very serious about the leadership that was going to come in. This time around, people are very keen because of the hardships that we're having. So we are hoping that no violence is going to be recorded. We are hoping that leaders are also going to be preaching peace wherever they are campaigning, and we hope for a peaceful election this year.
And true to it, Refigas, we celebrate the gains that we have made towards making sure that at least as a people, then it's about ideology, it's about the promises, it's about an individual. Reality is that we come from somewhere, and if we do not seek to seal all these loopholes that we leave behind, then the truth is that we will have these problems bedeviling us again. This characterized by what we witnessed in Jacaranda, and therefore how can we confidently say that we are off that space completely, and that today one can go to Kibra and you know, they sell their manifesto, they are listened to it regardless of whether they are supported or not, and step out of that space knowing that, well, it's fine, the people listened to me, and as they go out there to vote, it will be based on what I have told them or what another candidate has told them.
To me, I don't think there's an issue with people. We just need to change the leaders. Because the same leaders are the ones who are coordinating this youth, and you know, they are jobless. You give them changa, you give them all sorts of drugs that you preach they should not be using, and then behind the scene you give them, and you give them 100 or 200 shillings and direct them on what to do. Always, most happenings in the political space are all stage managed. You cannot just walk in somewhere and then people come together, let's attack Mheshimiwa Ndirangu. It does not happen. So, those kind of areas, how ndio watu tunafaa kutuma nyumbani? The issue is not even the people. The issue is with the leaders. And I believe the 2022 election is very special. We're going to have a big change in this country. Mambo mengi naenda kubadilika. It's historical.
Right. You know, you speak of what these youths are given, because I wanted to ask you, I mean, just what makes us vulnerable? What makes the youth vulnerable to these leaders, to, you know, the fact that they can be given 50 shillings and, you know, that can trigger them to go out there and, you know, cause this form of an animosity. And you speak of chang'aa, you speak of all these drugs, and it reminds me that Wajakoya today, on such basis, he campaigns. Of course, he does not directly advocate for this, but we have seen those ones that are so excited about Wajakoya. They're excited about the drink, they're excited about the marijuana, they're excited about cart and all this. Just to loop in Honorable John Mutudho and probably get his view on this one as he, as well introduced himself, or he gets to introduce himself to the people. Honorable Mutudho, thank you so much for creating time. On this basis, we have our youths being vulnerable to this style of leadership to a point where they go out there and, they trigger the kind of animosity that we witnessed in Jacaranda. And I mean, it's clear, as they would say, this one has been instigated by politicians. Can they just say no?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to agree with you entirely. The whole idea of introducing narcotics or something that will impair your thinking is to make sure that you are subnormal or abnormal. And those leaders know they are not worth. So they would like to use things like cannabis, which is a focused drug, so that you push the youth on one direction, just like Gari Amoshi. That is the whole philosophy about it. It's not even about the 50 shillings or any the philosophies or any policies they believe in. It's all about themselves cheating their way all the way to the graves of these young people as that happens. Right now, I can tell you for free that these people, because I know them, majority of them, their major budget campaign is not in posters or billboards or anything like that. It's on how much beer, how much chang'aa, how much bangi they will buy in the last days of the campaign for this youth. And in a situation like we are in, where there's a presidential candidate who is advocating cannabis, and we also have a major brewer or distiller also wanting to become a senator, who is actually my competitor, Senator Nakuru, then tells you that they are now coming to the final phase of commercializing evil in form of substance abuse, so that the youth will never see the light of the day.
Well, Warren, that's unfortunate. I am told that politically, sometimes you even get these, supporters of your opponents all drunk the night before the time to vote. And so by the time it's morning, they cannot be out there to go and vote. And that clearly then means it's a clear sale for you. So we'll be looking at that, expound it further, probably look at the Wajakoya effect that is taking, so much so of the space in the country today, and so much more after this short break.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades.
It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates, Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions, business, farming, Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not to just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice, and the brains.
Voters, and so we'll be looking at that, just try to unpack it, to understand how is it that the number has gone down in comparison to what was there last time. Or better yet, if it has not, then why is it that youth are not coming out there to register as voters, as many would have expected? Most of, the presidential candidates, most of the candidates across these other tiers of, leadership have gone out there trying to impress and trying to ask the youth to come out in large numbers, vote for them. But surprise, surprise, it is the oldies that might actually hugely decide where the vote lies. And so we get into this conversation, and still the gentlemen that I had in studio are here with me. Martin Dirango, Member of Parliament candidate of Kajiado North under the NAC party, as well as Refiga, commonly known as Refiga, but then again his name is Yusuf Noah, Member of Parliament candidate Kibra. Thank you so much, as well as Honorable John Mutudha, who joins us virtually, senatorial candidate for Nakuru County. He brings along or aboard, pertinent points, and this in regards to, the drink, this in regards to, the drugs and how of effect they are when it comes to the political season. If we are to be asked, then we'll probably say confidently that the troubles that we witnessed over the weekend were hugely, triggered by the fact that these youths were taking drugs and all that. I mean, what it is that Honorable Mutudha speaks of is also pertinent. We also have the Wajakoya effect. While his is a different approach to it, the youth out there are taking it different. The people out there are taking it different. And if it is not tamed at this early level, I'm afraid that it would cost us. So, Mheshimiwa, what do you make of that?
I'd like to just echo what has Honorable Mutudha has mentioned about alcohol and abuse, and the way politicians are taking advantage of the joblessness of the youth and the poverty of the youth to give them little tokens and alcohol to disrupt meetings. I'd like to say that, to tell the youth that whenever a person buys you alcohol to go and participate in a political rally, they are actually avoiding something. Most of these leaders have no agenda for you. Their only agenda is to use you and cross to the next, to get either to parliament or to any position of leadership. They have no interest in your life. But now, we need this information to come across very clearly, that our children should not be used by politicians for such selfish gains. Our children, we need leaders who can find solutions for the problems that you're having. Because the biggest problem we're having in Kenya is unemployment. We want leaders who can come and tell us that we, when I get into government, this is what I'm going to do about the youth, how to bring about industries, how to bring about employment.
As they bring the drink, I want to assume that they do so as much.
They are not, what I'm saying is, these people are not, there's something they're hiding. They do not want you to learn them because they have weaknesses. They have their own personal weaknesses. They have no agenda for you. And the reason they want to give you alcohol is to confuse you so that they can go and boo people who are their opponents and make them feel like they are, you know, more popular than the others. And therefore, we are surprised to see that we thought that the youth had the most votes, but we can see that majority of the voters are actually above 35 years. So,
Refiga,
yes.
Allow me to take it from you, Mushimiwa. It becomes tricky to probably get to look at an individual and say that this one has, you know, good thoughts for us, because most of them will come with the most beautiful manifestos around. The most unfortunate thing is that we don't even get to look at the manifesto as a people. It's the euphoria that comes along with the political scenario. It is the drink, or so to speak. So can we squarely blame it on this kind of leadership? If it is about the drink, as Honorable Mututo then would say, why is it that we do not have those ones that are responsible to say no?
I will take it back. You see, what happens is the youth today, of course, the joblessness is the center of all this.
Okay.
And I can blame it entirely on leaders. I can blame it entirely on leaders. If you are a leader, you just don't have to be a leader during campaign times. That is the time you become active. I think it should be all our responsibility, all the people. You know, leadership is not only an elected MC, an elected MP, senator. There's even community level, church level leadership. And I think we should take that responsibility throughout to educate the youth on matters of leadership.
Okay.
If you ask me about manifesto has become boring. Anyone can present the most beautiful manifesto. And you listen to him, a very powerful manifesto, more than Obama's, and you say, this is the guy, this is the God sent. But immediately you elect him, mambo ni yale yale.
So what are we supposed to listen to?
So for me, I think it's not only listening, seeing is very key. Why don't you look at someone's track record? That is more easier than just listening.
Okay.
Words are just words.
Some are coming in for the first time. So
no, even if you're coming in for the first time.
Okay.
That's why Unambianga, if you need to vie, yeah? And that's why I keep on telling people from Kibra, vote someone from Kibra. Someone you know. Someone who understands the problems of Kibra. So, if I am from Kibra, believe me, majority of people in Kibra knows me, and they know not because I've been in the music industry. They know what I've been doing. At least the track record is there.
Right.
So there's a risk of course, according to our constitution, I have a right to go and vie in Turkana in Lodwar. But I don't understand their problems and their challenges. And they know nothing about me. It's only the beautiful words that I'll give them. Hey, you know I'm going to do this. But if I am from Lodwar, believe me, they know. This guy has been helping the community. Ameza kafanya this project. Just leadership is local. In short, that's what I can say. Track record is the only way to go.
Right.
People need to see. Huyu Ndirangu, hii Kajiado, yeye anatoka wapi, ashafanya nini? Unajua? Hiyo kidogo, hata kama hujafanya kubwa sana, we're not saying lazima ikuwe miracle umefanya. Inaweza kuwa tu ni kidogo umefanya. It shows you have the potential to be a leader.
You know, lucky are those ones like Honorable George Mututo, because they are known.
Yes.
You know, this is more of a national figure, so to speak. And Honorable John Mututo, as we speak about this, you've been a moral, you know, cop at some point in time, before it even gets to the local level, to the county level. With us is Honorable George Wajakoya, who presents, you know, himself to the people of Kenya. So he would go out there and, you know, represent us, take the country's top job and be our CEO. the grounds that, at which he presents his candidature, do you suppose are grounds that, are valid, are good enough for a country that seeks to come to a point of emancipation from the tough times of economy, from the difficult times of the high cost of living, from a point where youth are bedeviled with the question of unemployment and all that?
Wajako, I understand, has 17 undisputed degrees. He must be a very intelligent man, because we have not had cases where he's taken to the tribunals. And my guess, and I must be very accurate, is that he is abusing his own intellectual capability by misleading the world that through cannabis and cannabinoids, you can be able to come and transform a society. First of all, even if figures add up, which is most unlikely that they'll add up, the kind of effect that cannabinoids or cannabis has on brains is such that you'll be reading zombies. These are people whom you'll tell to walk from Nakuru to Mount Kenya, and they'll just walk without questioning, because that's the nature of that focused drug. Wajako is not being honest on this particular aspect. He's misleading the nation by trying to bring in populism through the youth, who apparently seem like they don't even seem to get their numbers right. He's trying to bring in populism in a wrong way. Don't joke with this issue of drug abuse, because today, if you look in the current international calendar, is a day when the whole world is focusing on drugs. It's a Dada Day today. And everybody is concerned. You have over 50% of the youth not themselves. They have abused one substance or another. You take the universities, for instance, all universities, I don't know one, maybe unless you tell me one today, this morning, that doesn't have over 50% victim of one substance or another. Now, we are trying to trap that one to make it good of them. Let me warn Wajako that to use your good brains, think of something, even if you want to go and create people, a vessel that takes people up to the Mars or to the moon, or to go and settle there. But don't toy around with the people's brains. It costs a fortune to bring up a child. It costs more to the state to have sober nation. But now you cannot have people come and glorify evil. I want to tell him what to refer to history and note that China and India 500 years ago were the richest nations of the world. They were brought down by cannabis. They were trading, you remember. And there was the first opium war, and then the second opium war, Chinese opium war. These are issues in history. It has been done before. And like I've said before, and I'm going to say it here this morning before breakfast, for those ones who have read breakfast. You look at Ethiopia, there's a province just next to us here at Moyare. They legalized bhang or cannabis a long time ago, and they are very, very poor. They can't even afford food. Yet they give us a big headache here, and our estimate, like when we were in NACADA, as a NACADA chairman, is that about 40 tons of that stuff ends up in Kenya daily or weekly or whatever the time, with tankers on big trucks. And they have nothing. Look at Jamaica. Jamaica isn't far from being a first world, let alone being a superpower. And it is legal there. These guys, when they get high, they focus either on their music or focus on things which will never be converted into national engine in economic development. And for Heshimiwas, I really agree with them. What is missing, Lily? You go to Harare and it's all Mutudo A, Mutudo A. But this Mutudo, is it the manifesto, or what is he planning to do for the people? The role of an MP is threefold. One is representing the people. You represent the people. Two is you do oversight. You oversight the government. And finally, legislation. You make laws. And this developed from the history of around 1782 or thereabout, when the people in England killed King Henry II, because people were tired of paying taxes without being represented. It cannot be worse than what we're having in Kenya. And that's why you see, and I agree with what the late Mahatma Gandhi said, that you allow so many idiots to be, or like we are now saying, so many addicts to be. So sooner or later, they're going to elect one of their own to be a leader, their leader. And it has happened elsewhere in the world. And even in Kenya, so we have seen some very suspicious characters elected by majority who happen to be abusers of those substances. On this particular day, nothing can be closer to saving Kenya than having Wajakoya go and register, do his statement at DCI for misleading Kenyans that he can do.
All right, well, this is interesting. And you see, the reason why this has to be addressed is because, one, we are speaking hugely to the youth, as well as the fact that Wajakoya threatens us, a runoff, without doubt. The euphoria is out here, the effect is out here, and, just because... well, we probably did not see this coming, but here it is with us. Do you suppose that the voter is well informed? Civic education to understand some of these things that, Honorable John Mutudo presents to us, and most importantly, if they're going to make this decision, again, will it be based on the euphoria, the AR, as opposed to exactly what this person is presenting to us?
I want to assure Kenyans that this time around is going to be a bit different. I'm a politician, and I visit people in the machinery every day. And I hear what women have to say about what their vision is for the leadership that they want. This time, hii mambo ya hiyo, watu wasahau.
Is it?
Watu wasahau, because people, and I say again, people are very keen. We are coming from a very tough time of COVID and time of economic hardships. People are hungry, people are unemployed, people want hope. And now people are intelligent, and their discussion, there's a lot of discussion going on. Watu wanaongea, wanataka hope, wanataka kuona mambo yakiendelea yakiwa mazuri. And I want to about civic education, I know maybe the government is not doing enough, sorry to say that, but I would like to urge the church and religious organizations to play their role of civic education and educate the youth so that they can be able to understand how to choose good leaders.
Right.
It's not about leaders who come there with a very huge crowds and very loud music and kupiga kelele mingi. Sasa ni mambo ya sera. Everyone wants to listen to sera. Ukienda kwa vijiji sasa hivi, uongelesha vijana, you can observe from where you are that they are very attentive to hear what you are saying. Hata zamani ilikuwa mambo unafanya campaign, watu wanataka pesa. But nowadays, even before they ask for anything, they want to see what you have in plan for them. Like for my case in my area, Kajiado North, with industries. They want to do universities, they want to do colleges, but they cannot come because we don't have a road. Right. The reason why I want to go to parliament is because I want to enforce and work with other members of parliament and county government to make sure that our area is opened. Currently is a landlocked area, and we call it the bedroom of Nairobi. Majority of the people who work in Nairobi come from that area, Kajiado North. We are 330,000 people living in that area. Yet our road is only 41 kilometers. Probably that is the length of tarmac that is in Langata sub-county only. So we are asking the voters to look at the leaders. Don't look at how popular they are, look at what they have in their agenda and look at their track record. Just like Refiga was saying, you can go back to the community work that they have done before and try to gauge. Some of us are CEOs in our own companies. Some of us have created employment. Others, our competitors are coming from government. They have resigned from government. You wonder why someone would want to leave a government job and come and ask for another government job. Yet, so many youths are not employed. So we are asking the youth, especially in my area, give us the power to go and lobby for these funds so that you can open up that area. The moment we bring in good roads in that area, investment will follow. Investment follows infrastructure. We do good roads, open up the area, people will come out and set factories. Factories employ more than 1,000 people, some of them,
right.
Good factories. We have so much tiles coming from China. We have so many things being produced from China. TVs like this one, they are produced in China. Why aren't leaders coming up and saying, let us be like Ethiopia and say that every electronic device that comes into this country has to have a contribution of local input? For example, even cartons. Why would you need a phone coming all the way from China, complete with a charger and a carton? Why don't you tell these investors, if you want the Kenyan market, come and invest in this country. Let us give you land. Let us give you tax holidays and other incentives so that they can come here. Because if we cross this, we have an opportunity this year, 2022. If you make the mistake that you have done before by choosing the wrong leaders who are not able to lobby and represent yourself, represent the people properly in parliament, then you're going to come back to the same mistake. You're going to have people, millions of youths unemployed, and this is going to be very explosive. No matter how many street lights you're going to put, no matter how many police stations you're going to erect, the issue of crime is going to still pop up, because if people are hungry, they're hungry.
Well, truth be told, and here we are. Speaking about the question of intolerance and animosity, and are we forgetting that we are not immune to this? Or do we say that as a country, from this 2007-2008 post-election violence, we have picked lessons that are strong enough to protect us from such? Refika.
But now you see, DRC is part and parcel of East Africa. Right now, whether we like or not, their problem is becoming our problem. And I think if you can put it commercially, they're one of our biggest clienteles. Because anything that goes into DRC has to pass through the Busia, the Malaba border. So basically, with His Excellency President Uhuru chairing this and taking the matter at hand seriously, it's for our own interests, if you look at it that way. Yeah. To make sure that we address this. But as we address it, I mean, I don't know whether you've been able to see the pictures that come from DRC. The situation is bad. I've been to Goma myself.
Bad. You've been there before, you know, and it's ugly to see. Why is it that we are not bright enough to see that we're not immune to the same, that, you know, the same route that South Sudan is at? If we're not careful as a people, we could end there.
Basically, but I think Wakenya ni wajanja. And 2007 was the worst that has ever happened to us, that will ever happen to us. But I'm confident about that. And Kenyans, we are, as much as politicians come to us during a time like this to influence the youth, to cause violence, and it is something dangerous, if you ask me. It is something dangerous, but I highly doubt, because Kenyans, the only time you are reminded of who you are is during election time.
Yes.
Yeah, like you see in Kibra. Kibra is the face of Kenya. Even you can find a Dorobo in Kibra, you can find a Kuria in Kibra, you can find a Turkana in Kibra. There's these people that people believe they don't come to Nairobi, but you can find all these people in Kibra. And it's so hard in Kibra to get to know who is who. Till election times, a politician Dirango come and remind these people, you guys, munajua sisi ndio modo wa ndio sisi. To get his block and you know. So, but I think Kenyans are too good for that.
Well, let's speak about Modoa Nyoba. And Honorable Mutudor, the mountain is getting us confused more and more. Are we still waiting for that last minute to see how the bloc is going to speak politically?
I think they have spoken now. They have sobered up. This whole idea of having a hype, particularly when we know what happened in 2007, is gone. You know who are your friends. You know who you are by looking at your friends. And the kind of people who are now doing campaigns along Mount Kenya are well understood by the local people there. And without a break of the eye, I would just say the mountain was and is and will remain one. What we have a lot of entertainers there. We have people who are commercial politicians there. We have musicians there. We have all types of people. But when it comes to voting, there will be only one vote, and that one will be for the winning team. And to my view, my opinion, I have no doubt who is going to be, and that will be Azimio. Reason being that I agree the question you are asked about security and other things. I'm right now in Nakuru, in a place called Rongai. And I know much more than I can talk about in a national television and about what has happened and what's happening. And like a day to like today, we woke up at around 3, 4 a.m. to come and calm some people and calm people's nerves, telling them that this is not the end of the world. In 52 days, there will be an election. But please keep to your premises, stock your shops, and do other things. That's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, I told her we have to fix a bit of that network, but here we are, the mountain. I know you are from a different part or from the actual mountain that we know, but you are a person of the mountain. Yes. Clearly, your name betrays you. You're getting us confused.
Why should you be confused?
The people of the mountain are getting us confused.
The people of the mountain have spoken.
Have they?
They have spoken.
What have they said?
And they have confirmed.
That?
I'm speaking as a person from the mountain.
Okay.
And living in an area which is an extension of the mountain.
Okay.
And they all speak in the same voice. This time round, we are giving Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga the chance.
You think so?
Yes, we are. We have
Even
decided.
with the gains that Deputy President William Ruto has made?
We have decided. It is Azimio. It is Baba na Mama.
Is it?
Watu wameamua.
To echo
that, yes.
One day is a long time in politics.
That's for sure.
And in politics, there is the perception and the reality.
Right.
The perception is Kenya Kwanza. The reality is Azimio.
Is it?
Take it from me.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, looking forward to that. And you know, right after that, I will call you people here probably to say, well, this is true, it is that you said.
My analysis is always on point. You look for me. Do you want us to bet?
First of all, before we even get to a level of betting, which is okay, I would want to bet.
Yes.
But then I do not want to be accused of supporting a certain side. But questions linger as to what informs your analysis?
What informs my analysis? The ground informs my analysis.
I thought you just said right here, it's the people and not the ground.
The people on the ground,
The people on the ground.
Yes.
So you've spoken to them.
Yes, I interact with people every day.
In the mountain? Because
I'm
it
part
is
of the
really-
Azimio Youth League.
Okay.
So I move around and I get to hear and I deal with statistics and reality. Yes.
All right, this is interesting. And
I also go around the mountain. Whenever Mother Karua is visiting any area in the mountain, I go. And I go specifically to listen to what the people are saying. And I'm telling you this, not from anyone else, but from the people I'm meeting in the mountain region.
What is this that Azimio has done different to undo the gains?
Now, let me tell you.
All right. All of a sudden, the Azimio feel makes people so excited, all right?
Okay.
Yes.
For you as a journalist, I know you need to remain in a...
Yes, in a balanced bit,
Yes, but this is the reality. The shift happened when Martha Karua was unveiled.
Exactly.
That one, apart from Milima, actually, it became Milima na Mabonde. All women across the country were and are still excited about the candidature, and it shows there is a possibility of a woman presidency in Kenya.
Okay.
So that one, it's beyond central Kenya, take it from me. It's beyond central Kenya. I remember I was coming from Nakuru. I had to stop in Naivasha, and the excitement, it was around 2 p.m., it was live on TV. The excitement you could see in the street, no one mobilized anyone.
Okay.
But the excitement was beyond. So that was one. And it was rubber stamped by His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. When he came back to Azimio, that was a seal deal.
Okay.
I can confidently tell you we are waiting for swearing in.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, this is interesting.
Yes.
Let's talk about the mama factor. And let's acknowledge that all the presidential candidates, 4 of them, have picked women. Okay, well, have picked people from the mountain, not women. 3 have picked women, for sure. 1 has picked a gentleman. All these deputies hail from the mountain. What makes you confident that these very deputies are not going to split that one of your preferred candidates?
First of all, our candidate, Honorable Mother Karua, is
the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Mother Karua is deputizing him, but it's fine.
And our big boss, Honorable Raila Odinga. This time, Mother Karua is coming from the mountain, and she is a woman, and she's a woman of character, a woman who has been known to stand with justice. And Raila has assured her that she's going to take over the mandate or the Constitutional Affairs Minister when she takes over. And Raila has been saying that one of the evils that is ailing Kenya, one of them is corruption. And Kenyans are very tired of corruption. And the very fact that Martha Karua is standing there as a running mate for our Azimio coalition leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, we are very hopeful that things like corruption, issues like corruption are going to be tackled in with a very heavy hand. And she has always said, whenever they come for their rallies, that there will be no, the fight for corruption is not targeted against anyone. It's going to be a fair one, and it's going to be justice for all. And therefore, Kenyans are very hopeful. Kenyans are very hopeful. And every Kenyan, women and people from the central and the mountain are very supportive of Mama.
All right. Do we have Honorable Mutudho? All right, yes, in a few we'll get a hold of him. Refiga, as you traverse the different parts of the country in search for votes for Azimio One Kenya, reality, they say, is that these people from the mountain will just be excited about this whole thing. But they do not put the picture, they do not put the face of Baba there. So don't you think you're being duped?
This is a job of bloggers trying to create perception.
But it's the truth. It's the straight as looking at a poster and seeing whether Baba's name is there.
No, listen. These are posters of before nomination. Have they looked at the new posters?
Are they even there in the first?
They are there. After nomination,
let's start by asking Martin whether he's put up any poster, any billboards or any posters wherever it is that is in Kajiado, and whether it is having Baba's picture, or at least that aspect of the fact that his team Azimio, or it's hugely knack.
My campaign vehicles are branded with Baba's photo.
Is it?
Very clearly.
Okay.
And my party, NAG Kenya.
All right.
The third biggest party
in Kenya.
for me.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, for you, we would understand. This is Kibra. And,
no, not because of Kibra. I am in Azimio.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe in Raila Odinga and his leadership, and I know what he stands for. You see, this election is about pure gold and gold coated, and I know Baba is the pure gold.
Okay.
Gold coated, I don't know who that is.
Yes. All right, well, interesting. Before we get a hold of Honorable Mutudho again, I'll ask this question. As we speak about the mountain and how it is warming up to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in such a short time, we have seen some bit of disgruntlement at the level of Kenya Kwanza based on these parties that are affiliated or that sit therein. Hugely people of the mountain crying foul. Does it then mean that slowly by slowly they are as well shifting gears to this other side? And does it mean that that's again some more plus for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga? If not so, what will the Deputy President William Ruto do to make sure that those ones that were his foot soldiers would remain?
From the way things are, I can see.
And let's get a balanced analysis to this, in as much as you are team Baba and Mama.
Yeah, but the way things are showing up is that there's a lot of discontent from the leaders, the principals from the mountain. I can see some of them complaining that they're not being recognized, given the proper recognition as equal members of that Kenya Kwanza coalition. And therefore, for us, we expected this to happen. But of course, the position of the deputy, the running mate, would not be given to all people. It had to go with one person. And we knew very well that these other guys who thought that they were also muscular would complain at one point. And that point has reached. Okay. That's why Azimio is getting stronger by the day. Azimio movement, I'm telling you, yesterday in Kajiado North, it was the mother of all rallies.
It was watching on TV. Allow us to also weigh in and say whether such was the case. I am glad that you started by acknowledging that Nairobi and Kajiado, pretty much more or less the same.
Yes.
I would want to agree with the same, that Naivasha, Nairobi, more or less the same thing. Kibra sits right in Nairobi.
4 kilometers.
Yes, and we need to understand the kind of leadership that we get to Nairobi. To be honest, the previous reign was not the best, based on what we witnessed and the impeachment of Mike Sonko. Yesterday, the IEBC did not clear him. First of all, made good their threat of not clearing him and opening the lines for Wiper Party to proceed, in about 76 hours, make sure that they get another individual that would represent them in the event that they would wish. That is at the level of the coast. First, what do you make of that? And what do you expect of Nairobi with all this hula baloo about Sakaja?
First of all, I believe in the rule of law. If they followed the law accordingly and it barred him from vying.
Well, was that a huge gamble for Wiper Party, to be honest? Knowing very well that
one
this
thing
is
that I know for sure,
yeah,
without being biased, I know if Mike Sonko was cleared, he was going
would
to
have
take over
gotten that.
Mombasa.
Is
yes. Landslide. Take it from me.
From
Abdul
Samad?
Samad is a very good friend of mine. Even Mike Sonko is not my friend.
Okay.
But let's call a spade a spade.
All right.
Mike Sonko is a man of the people.
And so him losing this is a plus for Azimio's
It's for Abdul Samad, yes.
Okay.
Abdul Samad is in.
All
Pia
right.
ni kungoja tu kuapishwa.
Okay, this is impressive. We still do not have okay, well, what about Mutudor? You are here. Before we come and speak about Nairobi, what do you make of the mountain and the confusion that it brings on board? I am told by the gentleman here that hugely the mountain has spoken and it is about Azimio One Kenya. Can you confidently as well say that, looking at the fact that Deputy President William Ruto has been traversing the mountain and has hugely campaigned in this particular region to a point where statistics show that he really has been able to sweep and get the votes, in favor of him? Can you hear me? All right, let's try to fix that before we get to it. But yes, Martin,
Yeah.
Nairobi County, with all these shenanigans, you want to conduct business, definitely you expect to do this seamlessly with Nairobi as a Kajiado. I mean, what does it make you feel to see the kind of leadership that we are about to get and, the kind of campaign trails that are ongoing? And just looking at Nairobi then, Nairobi now, and what we're likely to get as the kind of leadership in Nairobi?
Number one, Nairobi is, for information, one of the most vibrant cities in Africa. And Nairobi controls all other cities, Kampala, Kigali, Bujumbura, all those, they depend on Nairobi and Mombasa. And therefore, the leadership of Nairobi is very, very key, not just to Kenya only, but to the entire region. And therefore, it is the interest of all leaders, local and regional, and even international leaders, that Nairobi's leadership be the best. For us who are neighboring Nairobi, we rely on Nairobi so much for jobs, for supplies, for industries and everything. And therefore, much as we are coming from the neighboring county of Kajiado, and therefore even the leadership of Nairobi interests us so much because we are interdependent as neighboring counties. Yeah. And therefore, I do not want to talk about any names about Nairobi, but we are very keen that, of course, as Azimio candidates,
would get that.
We'll get that.
Would be the best bet. This is one that left us
bet.
somewhere, hanging at some point in time. So why should we trust that Igada then would be the person that sanitizes the whole, terrible Sonko effect, if you'd want to call it, and the coming in of the NMS, the coming in of and all that.
With Igade, maybe just to go back a bit. It's also important to look at people's track records, whether they are coming from the private sector or from the public sector. And I usually tell people that those people who are coming from the private sector have a lot to bring in, especially those who have been performers like Igade. Igade has been in very many huge companies, and his record is clear. Personally, I'm also coming from the private sector. In the private sector, the way of working in the private sector is very different from the public sector. People who are coming from the private sector are performers and not necessarily populists. And therefore, with Igade, we have an opportunity to take Nairobi to the next level. NMS has been very good and it has brought a lot of changes. You can see after Sonko, we got NMS. The evidence is there. No one needs to explain about the performance of NMS. And the only person who can move on with the legacy of NMS is none other than our guy.
All right. Okay. Interesting. I know you would want to come in support of Igathe, but as well, do you then read some bit of malice in the troubles that Sakaja faces? Because clearly, then you would want to assume that the state would literally want Igathe to take over Nairobi.
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
I think it's an issue of, for me, just I respect the rule of law. If Sakaja has the legitimate papers,
he should present them.
He should present them, and he should be cleared, and he should be left alone to campaign and go about his business and vie. He has the right like any other Kenyan. But kama kuna msuko, let the rule of law take its course. That's what I can say.
It shouldn't be so huge on pointing fingers.
It shouldn't be about witch hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I just believe if it's legit, let him be. If it's not, Sharia ifanye kazi yake.
Okay.
Yes.
And speaking of Sharia, so if Mike Sonko was impeached and then he was going again back to Mombasa.
That's what I said.
Yes.
Just the rule of law.
And so
I know his capacity.
Yes.
Sonko will be voted in Mombasa. Yeah, he's a populist, right?
Yes,
we all know that.
He is.
And it works for a lot of populists like him. Yeah, even Joho is a populist, so it's the same.
All right.
Yeah, and I think Mombasa people love something about populists.
Do you suppose there is something that we need to understand some more on this question of impeachment and just getting to understand those ones that have been impeached before and how then this process of impeachment dictate and what they dictate thereafter upon impeachment is one then let loose to go out there and we have a recurrence of them in a different area or the very same area that they were impeached from? Because you see, if we are to talk about this conversation and still embrace it and still see individuals that have been impeached going out there to try and get leadership positions again, does it not really get us confused? Does it not really contradict what the laws dictate then? Because it is him. We've also seen Karugu Gathangwa as well facing the same troubles. Upon being impeachment at the level of the county, he could not be allowed, he could not be cleared. What does it speak about the question of impeachment?
The question of, first of all, getting impeached as a governor, we have said is a very tedious process. It's not easy. But in my view, is with the President Kenyatta leadership, the focus has been on development and performance. And therefore, when you find people being impeached, there's something that has been not working for them properly. Yeah. Even the Mwananchi, no one complained about the impeachment of some of these people. But I can say people have a right. If you are impeached, you have a right to go and vie for any seat in any county, everywhere, so long as the law allows. And therefore, if the law allows, we should allow people to vie for any position. They can even go for presidency or anything.
Well, interesting.
In the spirit of democracy.
Well, I do not know whether we sometimes, take democracy, work so hard to attain it and then dance on it. Honorable Mutudo, when we speak of this, and probably just to articulate further what it is that you were saying before we were distracted, I mean, if we are to look at the reports that have been presented by the CS for Interior, that we risk a situation where we're going to get a crop of leadership that is about 40-something% with questionable integrity. Can we confidently say that, well, impeach them, then they go to a different place because the laws allow, because it's democracy, then they should proceed to vie and be elected in again?
In setting up laws to put in a yardstick, that you will be required to meet certain very, very minimum, like education, like your level of integrity. You must be able to have a yardstick. You cannot have it free for all. Otherwise, it's going to be, like I said, with the biggest horns or the biggest teeth or the biggest crows to be the leader. Why we said impeachment is critical is that through that very tedious process, like Mheshimiwa puts it, you are proven to be guilty. So what business do you have again trying to come through the back door and saying that you can be innocent once again? The issues which have been put by Interior are critical. And if we don't follow the law, then we are going to have a set of goons who are so powerful that they can be able to lobby a law that protects the goons. And they've said it in the open. I have known people in that house, and I've sat in that house, who are there strictly on behalf of other people. And they don't think for themselves, and when they vote, they will vote. Even on a day like today, they would like you to imagine it's a Saturday. Even when it is so clear, and Mheshimiwa can see it very clearly, that is today Saturday. Because the Grand Master is saying this. And I have been dealing with these people, people who say to be the worst in the world, the drug people and all. And those people have their people in government, they have their people even in parliament, they have people in church, they have their people all over. And the more you allow those people to come, the worse the country becomes. That's why some nations have become ungovernable. Colombia, for instance, a former gang leader is now the president or the prime minister. I hope you are following the stories from Colombia.
Yes.
And you are and I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm only saying he got saved. After doing all the mess in his youth, now he's a good man. And I also congratulate him because he has appointed a truly black woman as a deputy. But we have the history. Is there a shortage of people who don't have such a heavy history and background? Sonko is my friend, with him in 10th Parliament. And I remember one afternoon, we delayed debate between that minutes and 1 hour because he refused. He refused to remove his shades and brings he had all over. Because in an honorable house, we are supposed to behave like a Mheshimiwa. Drama went on and on and on. And I thought perhaps at the point when he fell from Nairobi, we would have massive riots because he was representing the people. Only to find that most of those people are actually hired goons. When it comes to Nakuru, he has a contractor. And I know him by name. I wish he's tuned in. I would name him today. That you come with 250 people, they are well paid, and they are supposed to shout Sonko, Sonko, always coming late to cause commotion. During the first time we heard of Sonko, I was in that meeting with the late President Kibaki at Uhuru Park. And he brought in over 60 matatos, these big ones, hooting and total chaos, until the president had to stop all the proceedings to allow this man to come in. These are the things we need to be checked. Who are you? What did you do, like Mheshimiwa said? I'm shocked to hear that they have only 40 kilometers of tarmac, that side. And I believe in Mheshimiwa. Because the people who are there did not come to represent the people. They came to represent either their interests or their masters. And once we look at the change in philosophy in electoral process, like I would tell you for free, between 1955 and 1978, the policy, the guiding principle in electing a leader or seeking leadership was, it is our time to serve.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that time, even if you got 500 shillings salary. But between 79 and perfected 2017, they vote because it's our time to eat. So the eaters might be there on behalf of other people. Impeachment and the rule of law is cardinal. If the law says you cannot run, please respect it. If you don't have qualification, or you are impeached.
All right, well put. And I guess that's the very same point that we should be looking at this, because, I mean, why would you want to go back knowing very well that you were impeached? You still have cases in courts. And I mean, the integrity question is here with us today. We keep asking ourselves, why is it that leaders still present their names for clearance? And IEBC getting to a point where their hands are tied. In this case, they say you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But then you have questionable integrity. You have cases in courts, but you still present your papers. And such is what we have. If you look at the report of Honorable Matiang'i, do we wait for a moment of disaster? We're coming to you, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The issue of integrity. Sometimes Kenyans are very smart. They will find ways of meandering around the law. But there are issues. For example, if I asked you, there are some integrity issues which cannot be prosecuted in a court of law. Things which only other people can judge. And therefore, I would say, much as people might meander about the law and they some are impeached and they want to seek other posts, and some are found to be having issues of integrity. Sometimes they might be successful in going through the law, but the ultimate judge this time is going to be the voter. Voters are also very wise. Someone might get a ticket, yet they have integrity issues. But the public know. The public know the history of these people. This year, 2022, the judgment is going to be made on the ballot. Those leaders who have court cases, the public are aware. Those people who are have been going through fishy ways to get elected, rig elections, this time around, IEBC has assured us that the elections are going to be very strict. There will be no chance of irregularities at all. And the voters, we know people, we have information that there are people who have put up aside a lot of money just for the last day of the election to go and buy youths a lot of alcohol, to go and buy votes on the last day of the elections. But when you go around to the ground, you hear that people are saying, hiyo pesa itakuja tukule, lakini uamuzi wetu kura itakuwa ni siri. So I am telling Kenyans to watch out this year. It's going to be a very special election. Every country goes through what you call evolution or civilization. A country like UK never allowed women to vote until 1944. And after 1944, they have progressed until such a time that they have even gotten women prime ministers. We never know how Kenya is going to be. People, old school politicians are thinking that we are going with the old school ways. But this time they are going to be full of surprises this August.
All right.
Yep.
Are you confident about the performance of IEBC so far, Refiga, and that you know very well they will handle your votes as you would expect?
I'm confident. Okay, I know a number of politicians have been complaining things were a bit slower this time, unlike before. But I think the whole process is more improved and better than the previous one. So I'm more confident with IEBC.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And on this very note, I think it's time that we take a short break, quick break. We still have so much more to unpack on the question of politics, and therefore we open YouTube, lines for you to be part and parcel of this conversation. There's so much feedback that is coming in. Watu wa Kenya Kwanza wamewabonda kweli kweli, wanasema hey, it's a matter of time until nyinyi muaibishwe kabisa. So ni vizuri tugoje, kila mtu na maoni yake. Yes, we look forward to that. And I mean, that is the kind of politics that we actually want.
Yes.
You know, politics where we say it's fine, you are my opponent, but you know, bring in what it is that you heard in terms of ideas. Let's work together. Let's combine the forces and probably work towards this. I've heard people saying that, you know, you do not know. You could see Deputy President William Ruto and Right Honorable Raila Odinga working together. I mean, we would be excited about that as Kenyans, even though they say when you see politicians working together, then you start getting worried. Probably that's why they blame.
It's just a competition.
Okay, well, we take a short break and then we come back with that.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent. I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Moja.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Well, Yusuf Noor, commonly known as Refiga, Member of Parliament candidate Kibra, as well as Martin Dirango, Member of Parliament candidate Kajiado North, they are in studio with me. Joining us virtually, Honorable John Mutudo, senatorial candidate for Nakuru County. And I guess we bring in Honorable John Mutudo in this very moment, and especially what he seeks to bring to the people of Nakuru County. We understand the roles of a senator, we understand the roles of members of parliament, we understand the roles of members of county assemblies, those ones of women representatives, you know, the roles of the governors and all that. But do you suppose the common Wananchi really is well enlightened on this civic education? What more needs to be done?
Quite honestly, I will only do the three things I'm supposed to be doing. That is oversight primarily. There is a lot of money that has been voted. If you look at even where Mheshimiwa is coming from, Matarungai, and go through the government books, there is a lot of money voted for various projects. But most of them are extra ghost projects. They just exist in the books or in the stomachs of a few people. The role of oversight is bestowed upon members of parliament and also the Senate.
Yeah.
So if we do our things right, then you will not have a situation where somebody has only 41 kilometers of tarmac, but another one is boasting of having 3,000 kilometers of tarmac, because the committees are supposed to analyze all these factors in approving the budget. No president anywhere, even in third world, uses money without approval of parliament. So I can promise people of Nakuru, as a senator, one thing: pure oversight. And I did it before when I was chairman of the Agriculture Committee. They know what I can do and what I can't do. What I can't do is to be put in somebody's stomach or somebody's pocket. What I can do is to read, because why they want degrees in parliament is that on a normal day, a very slow day, you have about 5 big documents to read through, understand and analyze, so that you can be able to debate. You look at like the budget estimate, the budgetary estimate, you look at that book, it's actually 26,000 lines and about 3 columns in account. So if you are not educated enough, surely it's expecting too much for somebody to comprehend what's going on. So somebody who is cheeky will put in everything where they want to do in their particular constituency, and forget yours because you can't simply read. You don't know how to, you know how to write, but you don't know how to read properly. So somebody like me, what I'm going to bring is that I'll read, not just for Nakuru, because when you are there, you also represent Kenya, but to make sure that it is fair. What has been proposed, passed, and processed is implemented. The other bad thing that happens is that you buy, say, an item for government at 5 times the standard price. The person who is supposed to question that one and cancel all that mess and take people to jail is the member of parliament or the senator. Because he knows, and particularly when they're coming from private sector, like he's saying, don't agree with him that the people from private sector will always outperform everybody else. It's all about your heart and who you are. Maybe in private sector making deals, huge deals like they do. I know one person who got a contract to do a certain power line, and he made a profit of, out of 700 million, he made a profit of 500 million. That is stealing. Those are the kind of things that take me to the Senate. And most important, to protect the integrity of the family. No amount of money, no amount of gifts are superior to the integrity of a family. Your family is the core government. That is what we should safeguard. Good things. You look today like the diet, things we are eating. Look at the health of people, of Kenyans. What are they eating? Look at even the quantity and quality. Look at their health. You have big structures, level 4, level what, level 3, level what, level 6 even is there these days. Maybe level 7 is coming. But what is inside that level 7 or level 1, or whatever it is? Drugs and pharmacological preparations that are purely substandard. Those are the things that I want to go and do. I am aware I don't have CDF. There are no funds for a senator, but the salary is enough and even extra. I don't need it. Just to tell the people the truth that you cannot tarmac a road at $1 billion per kilometer, whereas that similar road all over the world is being tarmacked for just a quarter billion. That's a little of a Senate, my understanding.
All right. Well, and I mean, this triggered by what it is that we had mentioned before we took a break, and that people might not even understand what they expect from their leaders. Same applies to the leaders that are taking up the mantle. With the excitement of devolution, we have seen other tires incorporated in the system of leadership. We have seen the coming in of members of county assemblies, which is a huge responsibility. But I will tell you that a majority of them today are vying because they are popular within their small area. They are vying because they have businesses that are booming within their small area. They are vying because they have car washes, and very many people come there to wash their cars, and therefore they are well known in this particular area. When they get into power is when they realize, oh, culture shock. Actually, it is not what I expected. The fact that I do not hold a degree, the fact that I do not have proper education, then I'm not able to handle the paperwork. I'm not able to handle the finances. To what level do we need to get to make sure that before leaders take up the mantle, they understand what it is that they're taking up, and before the electorate goes out there to vote, they understand what leadership they're bringing on board and what individuals represent certain quarters of their interests.
First of all, I'd like to echo what Honorable Mutudho has said about the need for understanding and good education when it comes to jobs like senator, member of parliament, because some of these things that you'll face there are very technical. Personally, I hold a master's degree in governance. My opponents may not have that, but we're in the same ballot. It is unfortunately left to the hands of the electorate to decide, because the electorate are the interview panel, to decide who is best able to represent them. You say that some of them are elected because of being good business people in their area, but unfortunately when they get to these positions, it becomes very hard for them to interpret some issues. They'll go to parliament or to the county assembly, and it will take them 3 years to understand some of these things. Some of them go back to college when they are holding these positions. But who's losing? It is the people who put them into those positions. It is the people who put them into those positions who will be suffering from poor representation. When you look at live broadcast of Parliament, most of the days you find that all the seats are empty. And who's losing? And I've always told my people, if they elect me to be their member of Parliament, ndakuwa nabisha bunge saa 2 asubuhi, because me, I'm asking for a job. I've studied for a job, and I've proven myself in the private sector, and this time I'm asking for a public job, which I'm totally committed to be doing. I want to be in Parliament full-time to represent my people, so that when issues are being discussed, allocations are being done for finances, for public resources, for infrastructure, then I'm there. I usually find it very bad when you find a member of Parliament not attending sessions. Sometimes, some of them, we have on record, we have data of people who never speak in Parliament. I'm not saying that speaking is everything, because
it's important.
It is important to articulate issues in Parliament, so that you properly represent your people. But we have a record of people who have never spoken for 5 years. And I've always told people, I have been a student leader at the university. Sisi ni watu ambao tumekuwa, and I was a student leader who always advocated for peace. In my period, we were together with Omar Hassan. There was no strike at any one point. But that is not very important. The most important thing is for voters, and as I said, to look at the track record of who they're electing, and also, to some point, also look at the education. Because education is one of the key ingredients of representation. We said the role of a parliamentarian is to represent the people, to legislate. Especially legislation, you have to be very careful. I was looking at a bill which came through Parliament, I think, 2 years ago, and it was talking about giving KEBS. I think, no, it was called Energy Performance Rating for Electronic Equipments. The way that document came out, you could clearly tell that it was not properly researched. And it brought a lot of impact to the market, especially for the price of things like refrigerators in the market. Because it was decided that for an importer to bring in a refrigerator or any model of an item, you have to pay a certain amount of money, which was very expensive, and it made the products very expensive. But I feel like if the members of Parliament were able to discuss these issues critically, some of these mistakes may not be happening. And therefore, legislation is key, and people need to send people to Parliament who are informed and who are a bit learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the political scene is warming up to creatives, is warming up to young blood, and it is unfortunate to look at the papers and the reports of KPMG and IEBC dictating that the youth are, exhibiting some essence of apathy, in terms of going out there to register. We would want to look at what the young ones have done, or the youth have done, those ones that are in Parliament. And most of the times when we're looking about leadership, we focus much on the parliamentary aspect of it. And so in the House, we've had, a House that is constituted by the highest number of, youth for the very first time in comparison to the previous ones, women and all that. And creatives, for that matter, we have seen them getting into these spaces. And if we want to expand the scope further, we have seen them occupying other spaces. Muchutho's side, we have seen Chipukizi taking up that. We have seen the likes of Jaguar, representing us at the level of Parliament. Do you suppose they have done well? Does it not send jitters that we are excited about them because of the question of popularity, without looking much into what they bring on the table? The current, crop that we are expecting is huge. There is you, there is Bahati, there is Jesse, there is the likes of Jalango, and many others that have presented their bid. We have seen the likes of, Mwatia, who presented that, unsuccessfully, so to speak. Do you think there's going to be any essence of leadership and change that will be brought by this?
It is true what my brother here said. Most people go to Parliament without understanding the role of an MP. And so I will not speak for Bahati, I would not speak for Jalango, I would not speak for all these creatives. First of all, I am not running for Kibra parliamentary seat because I am Refiga, grandpa, I revolutionized this music industry, no. I am not vying because of that. I am vying because I want to bring in changes in Kibra. In Kibra, with a population of over 400,000, we don't have a single house with a running water in Kibra. In Kibra, with that population, we don't have an operating stadium for sports.
Yeah.
And we have over 100 teams in Kibra. We don't have a talent hub in Kibra. We don't have a proper hospital in Kibra. During my campaigns, I meet a lot of women. Ninunulie dawa, nakuja na karatasi ile ameandikiwa. Like, health is a big issue in Kibra. So these are some of the things I want to address. And I want to take it as a priority once I get into the office. Yes, schools, Ken Okoth has built schools. Yeah, enough schools. He has built schools.
And I mean, this is the truth, Refiga.
Yes.
The fact that the question of education squarely lies in the docket of a member of parliament.
Of course.
Security lies therein. And then away from it, it's now the legislation, oversight, and
Yes.
representation. How are you going to do this all that you speak of that does not sit in your mandate?
Now listen, that's why I'm saying, if you don't have a network, or you can't build a network, you don't have any business to be a leader.
Okay.
You see, you don't have to sit, you don't have to be seated waiting for that CDF grant and budget yourself within that ikiisha umeisha. No. You have to go out. There is the private sector, non-government. Kuna marafiki wengi hapo nje.
Yeah.
Through my foundation, Simama na Kibra, we've been working with these people. Through the first phase of COVID and the second, through Simama na Kibra, we did food drive, and we did feed 3,668 families with a budget of a month. That is through partnerships. We can't afford that. Through partnership, and we managed. So with the leadership is also the same. If you are seated waiting for that government budget, ikiisha umeisha. It doesn't work that way. You have to forge relationship and partnerships, yeah, for the good of your people, for the betterment of your people.
Okay.
So when you come to creative, I'm a product of talent. I started out as an artist. I launched Grandpa Records, which was one of the most successful record label in East Africa.
Yeah.
And when you look at Kenya, there's a report from World Bank. We lose at least 18 to 22 million annually from the creative industry. We need some laws in place. There's something called the broadcast quota. It's already working in Nigeria and it's working in South Africa. The broadcast quota is 80% of what is being played on media, be it a movie, be it comedy, be it music, it has to be by the locals.
Okay.
And 80% of the producers has to be local producers, meaning hiyo pesa inazunguka hapa ndani. And it can empower them. They can be able to buy modern equipment, hire more people, so the industry can blow. This is one. Two, the media houses. We need to put a law into place. Your job is broadcasting. But now, most media houses in Kenya, you do in-house production. Now we have content creator right, left, and center.
Yeah, that's true.
How will they make money? You need to give them that job if they meet your standards. And uwalipe so that they can be able to do what? To broaden their
scope.
And wanaweza wakaandika watu kazi. So these are the kind of laws we need to put in place.
Okay.
The problem is the previous people we sent to parliament from the entertainment industry, maybe naweza tumia lugha mbaya, but tulituma mandazi. Yes.
Well, sometimes it hurts, but you know,
that
it's
is the truth.
That's
because
the truth.
For me, my business is my people of Kibra.
Right.
I need to better their life and the economy, the creative economy.
Okay.
I want to take up that.
All right.
Yes.
You know, they say great leadership is about making sure that you mentor someone, that you nurture someone. And Honorable Mututho, we have seen, how huge we are as a country in terms of pushing for the coming in of youth in these spaces of leadership. Would you confidently say that they are taking the mantle in a right way, that they are picking cue from the oldies in the best way, that they are advancing and making it better what it is that the oldies have taken charge of for the longest time?
Not all oldies are palatable, I may say, but you need the oldies also. If you look at the world, look at the case of Ukraine. If I was in charge of Ukraine, let me say it here in a national TV, that I wouldn't have allowed such a massive war because our people die. You need age to understand some of the bad temper and hot temper doesn't work. You look at US, the kind of people who are leading them, it's because they need the wisdom. If I were to go and today to the polls, and luckily I'm voting in Nakuru as a senator, if I was in Canberra, I would vote for Mheshimiwa because in the whole interview, he has said one thing that helped me, and I know it will work. If you take all these artists together and create revenue from their sweat, not from their stealing, not from their changa, not from their bangit or ajakoyo way, and have adequate revenue filtering down to them, then you'll have less crime, you'll have less drug peddlers, and so forth and so on. Those are the kind of ideas Waheshimiwas are supposed to bring. Not a question of coming to say who is more loyal or who is. You have seen us in action, saying that hata damu yangu ikikatwa itakuwa ya huyu Waheshimiwa. Those rhetorics, those guys do not have a chance at all in Parliament. Because if we have him now, and I hope we're going to meet there when I'm in Senate, because I've made several laws myself, I would show him how to craft a law that will be his law, such that whatever he's thinking about can be implemented. That is the work of a member of Parliament.
Right.
I said representation, oversight, and legislation. So you don't just talk about it, but now you go and legislate like I did during the Mutuzo laws. You may not have liked the Alcobro, but it was there. It was there, and it had to happen that way. If I go back again now, I will look at something else, like, for instance, help. Why are we punishing these graduates? We should do it the Israel way, and that maybe is for another day when we have the time.
Well, interesting. And here we are. Speak to your people in about 2 minutes or so, as to what it is that you present to them. I always say it's fair that we have, a ground where we'd allow you to speak to your people, because the main reason why you're here is because your people would need to hear you. And I'm sure there are very many of them who are watching. What would you tell them this morning?
Thank you, Linda, for giving me this opportunity to talk to my people of Kajiado North. Once again, I introduce to them again as Martin Kimemia, Member of Parliament candidate, Kajiado North. I have a lot of good plans for the people of Kajiado North. Number one, I realize that the issue of unemployment has really hit each and every family in this area. Just like other counties, you also need to benefit from employment through industrialization. I'm a champion of industrialization. This area of ours, we know that the reason why we are not getting enough industries and enough investment is because of two things. Number one, lack of infrastructure. I'm ready to go to Parliament to lobby for funds, work with the county government, work with the national government, and lobby properly so that we can have at least a road connecting this area of Ongata Rongai to Kitengela, and another road connecting from Mombasa Road to a place called Olosrikon, so that we can open up that area so that those investors who have bought land in speculation, so that they can come and invest. Once the roads are done, then they'll be able to invest, and a lot of our people will get jobs in that area. Secondly, just to echo on the creative area, my industry, I work in the refrigeration industry. I've opened up a center. My foundation has opened up a center to train young people so that they can learn little skills which they can convert into ready currency. Currently, we have had over 70 people benefit from this institution. That is just an example. I've set up that institution in Ongata Rongai, and it has helped people to get an income, to earn a living, and raise families. If I get the CDF kitty, then I'll be able to come up with talent centers for our youth in each and every ward, so that once they finish high school, they don't have to loiter around and get into alcohol. They can come to those centers and learn little skills like plumbing, little skills like tiling, little skills like painting, little skills like refrigeration and air conditioning, little skills like automotive, and these are going to be known as apprenticeship. It is not necessarily a course, but you are going to benefit from training from people who have been experienced, people who have been in the industry for long, so that they can impart these skills to these people. The trainers are going to be facilitated by the CDF kitty. In Parliament, I propose that when I get to Parliament, I revise some few things, like the CDF kitty. Currently, we are working on an allocation of 2.5% of the national revenue goes to CDF. I find it very little and very limiting to have such a small kitty. Countries like India have moved from, are now at 5% of national revenue allocation of CDF. But the CDF is not only in Kenya, it is also in India and other countries like Ghana. And I've been following up and seeing how this fund has been working. It has worked very well for India and Ghana. And I take those two examples. Kenya has the smallest allocation of 2.5%. And if I go to Parliament, I will bring a bill to push this CDF kitty from 2.5% to 10%, at least 10%. The reason being, this year, IEBC has been allocated 44 billion Kenya shillings to conduct the elections. And the question I normally ask is, next year we don't have an election. We still have an opportunity to put our hands on another 44 billion. What will happen to this? Why don't we increase the CDF kitty so that the member of parliament can move from just building classes, like you said about Kibra, increasing the number of classes and putting street lights and building police stations, and also we move from just that. And we move to things like also having those talent setters.
Okay.
We have things like good roads, you know, expanding the kitty so that we don't just dwell on bursaries. I've normally argued that bursaries are good, but as a reflection, bursaries at one point are not very good, because my vision would be to empower people so that at least we find lesser and lesser people applying for bursaries.
Bottom up. Bottom up approach? Interesting. I'm just asking.
So that you can have lesser and lesser people applying for bursaries.
That's true.
The thing is, we need to create jobs for our people so that they don't over-rely on bursaries.
That's true.
Once we push our CDF kitty from 2.5 to 10%, then we'll have an opportunity for now in the short term to allocate more funds for children who are going to school in form of bursaries. Also, we also like to have improvement of classrooms. We only find people and members of parliament and other leaders building classes, but they are not ensuring that these classes are conducive. Why don't we have all classes in public schools tiled? Why don't you have public classes in all schools painted? And also all the children going to public primary schools having free lunch. All that can be possible if we increase this kitty from 2.5 to 10%. Lastly,
make it very quick.
Very quick. Kenya is a very huge destination and a very big market for electronic products and many other products. If you look at the statistics, the number of the imports we do from China are so huge. We are actually giving our money to China to create jobs for their own people. But we can take a very bold step if we put in the right leaders in parliament. Let us come up with legislation to make sure that anyone who is bringing in their product to this country are also investing in this country. We don't have to have all the factories in China. We have a lot of land, especially in my area, Kajiado and other areas like Machakos, where investors, if they are given good reason to invest here, they can invest here. If you have good laws, then they'll be forced to not to bring in finished products, but to bring in partially done products so that the finishing can be done here. If it is motorcycles, let us build them here. If it is the parts for motorcycles, electronics, fridges and TVs, let them be done here.
Let's be fair to Refiga and give him 3 minutes to speak to his people.
Thank you so much, Linda. My people of Kibra, first and foremost, I would like to thank you for encouraging me to vie for Kibra parliamentary seat. It's long overdue. Actually, you've been pushing me for the past 3 years or so, and I believe this is the time. Kuna wakati ya kila kitu. For me, I would like to address the first thing first. Unemployment is a big issue. And I will lobby through the government, I will lobby through the private sector, through our partners, and to make sure we create more jobs for our youths in Kibra. And through our foundation, we'll keep on supporting youth and women with businesses. Like recently, we've just empowered about 169 women traders At least we stocked for them so that they can go about their business. The second one, I would like to build a sports complex. Actually, it will be 3 in 1. We have a very big land at Joseph Kangede. The stadium is now closed. We'll build a modern-day stadium, a talent hub, and a cultural center. So the same place can cater for 3. Secondly, we have an idle land at the Moi Girls, about 10 acres. I will build a modern hospital, even if it means I have to go through the private sector to put up that, because health is a big issue in Kibra. Thirdly, I know affordable housing is the way to go. And Honorable Raila Omolo Odinga started that way back, and it has stopped at, I think, 5%. I would like to take from there, and we have affordable housing in Kibra. And that one, we can be able to have a running water. But for now, I want to push for more boreholes, which is a temporary solution. At least within every 100 houses, we can have a borehole. Every 100 houses, we have a borehole. That one, we can do it even through support from the private sector and non-government organization. And from what we're getting from the government, as Mheshimiwa has said, we want to push for the CDF kitty. At least 10% is a fair number, because what we are getting is not enough. We're just able to do some few things, and we remain in one side. Like it's one-sided. CDF is more about giving some little bursary and building some classroom or repair some classroom. Okay. And you see, it's more than that, what the people of Kibra need. And getting into parliament.
As we close.
You will have a leader who will speak for you. Currently, all the competitors who are competing with me, none of them can even speak or has even talked or even said anything in parliament. Actually, when you start counting about people who's been sleeping in parliament, the incumbent is one of them. So you have someone who will speak on your behalf.
At least he's spoken in as much as maybe not to the level of the expectation of the people of Kibra.
You have someone who will speak for you. Mukiwa na shida, you have someone who will speak for you.
Well,
someone who will stand for you.
Okay.
Vote for me come 9th August 2022.
Gentlemen, all the best. Honorable Butuda, briefly.
Well, very briefly, I go for oversight. There's a lot of good ideas.
Do we have John Butuda?
Yes. Yes.
Briefly,
I can hear you well. Yeah, there are a lot of good ideas coming through Ashimiwas, but now when it comes to implementation, that's why you need strong oversight. MCAs have failed because they are called in that Kamukunji or that Balaza, and then they are given some illegal monies to go and do projects in their own county. So they leave the governors to do what they want to do. In devolution, you need a strong senator. It does not matter who is the governor, because the project comes from the people, and the devolved funds are supposed to help the local people. So as the Mheshimiwas don't like to hear of oversight on the CDF projects, all the ward CDF projects. But if we came out strongly on oversight, which I'm going for, then we'll be good to go. And then legislation. If you find there is a loophole they are using to score illegal goals, then automatically you go on the floor of the House and persuade the House to change the law. That's what I'm going for. I thank you very much from my favorite TV station, TV47. And I want to assure Nakuru people and Kenya people that, God willing, I'll be on that floor of the House, combing kila kitu. And when I come to doing oversight, I'm worse than ile umbo ya polisi. Once ukipata kama ni mwizi utaumwa. They are not two ways about it.
Well, Mheshimiwa tunakujua sana. Thank you so much.